Grab a vinyl record and set it on a bowl and a heat gun. Start using that heat gun all the way around the edges. Put a mitt on your hand and start forming it as soon as it gets hot. This is the way to make a nice, cool bowl. Once it settles, it's going to be nice and strong. But I've got a faster way. Put your oven to 350 degrees, hit start, and then let it heat up, and then put your vinyl record on something that won't stick to. Put it in the oven. You only need it for 2 minutes. Now, it's going to come out a little warped, but don't let that worry you. Just peel it right off. It's going to be mighty flexible. And this time, instead of the outside of the bowl, you're going to put it on the inside. Shape it and push it against the sides because you don't want that warp to be too much. After about 10 minutes, it's cool, and look how strong it is. Now, these are going to be great for parties or anything for decor around the house. Next, grab a piece of plywood that's 3/4 inch. Take a record and you're going to mark all the way around, get a nice circle. But we don't want to cut that circle on the outside. Let's measure and get on the inside. Make another circle because you don't want to see the plywood, but I realized I made that little circle too small. So I'm going to cut in right between them, and then on the back side, I'm going to put a little hook that I can hang up this circle with. Now, I'm going to turn this plywood over, get some super glue, just put it around. It doesn't need to cover in all the spots. Once I got it smeared on there, I'm going to put the vinyl record on there and let it sit for about 15 minutes. Then I'm going to drill 2 little holes, and I'm going to stick some wood dowels in there. But first, I've got to put some wood glue in. This wood glue is what's going to hold it together. So once I get it in there, cut these dowels to about 4 inches. They're 3/4 inch dowels. Put them in there. Again, they're 4 inches long. Let that dry for a couple of hours. And then I'm going to hang it on the wall, and look at this. That is an amazing guitar holder right there on the wall, and it looks great. Back to those bowls. We can cut out the inside, maybe a couple inch hole saw like this. Once you get it all the way cut through, go easy. It's going to spin on you. Once you get it cut, you can grab a lamp kit. Put it right through there. Take the other washer and tighten it up on the inside. Go ahead and install a bulb, and then you hang it up. Doesn't that look great? As a holder and as a lamp. Why don't we go ahead and grab a record? We don't need any heat or anything like that. We just need a little plastic numbers, and we're going to set those up and put them all the way around, starting with 6, 3, and 12. That's going to mark all our 90 degrees. And then we're going to go ahead and put glue on. It takes just little dabs. We're going to put it all the way around the record. And as you can see, we're starting to make a clock. And then you can buy a little kit. They're so cheap and inexpensive. You can get them on Amazon. Put that through, put the arms on, and then you hang it on the wall. And look how great that is. I think these projects turned out absolutely amazing.
I found this milk crate a couple weeks ago. To make the outside of the crate look better, I want to cover it with some thick jute twine. I'm going to start at the top of the crate and hold the end in place with some hot glue. Then I can just wrap it around the whole way down. My crate has quite a few bump outs, so I'm just going to do my best to cover them all up and use a little hot glue when I need to hold the twine in place. Now that the crate is covered, I want to create a seat for the top. I had this heavy old cabinet door though that fits perfectly. To make the seat comfy and provide a really sturdy top so that I can also use it as a little table, I'm going to add a really thick piece of foam over the door. I want to start by making the foam just slightly bigger than the door. The best way to cut foam is with an electric knife. The knife cuts through it like butter and makes it quick and easy. To cover the foam and the door, I have this piece of beautiful fabric from an old curtain that I absolutely love. It's the perfect size, so I'm going to lay it down with the pattern side against the table, and then I'm going to place the foam in the middle of it. With the foam in place, I can lay the door on top. To hold the fabric in place, I could use an electric stapler, but I find it just as easy to use hot glue when it's on something hard like this. There are a number of ways to finish the ends, and for something thick like this, I like to make it look as tidy as possible. I can trim off any excess fabric here too, so that it lays nicely. I'm going to hold the ends in place and hot glue these as well. I'll go ahead and finish the other end, and then it's ready to set in place on the top of the crate. I love how pretty this crate looks now, and that I not only have some extra storage, but it works wonderfully as a seat or a table too.
We are going to transform a black utility rolling cart. First things first, we have to put together the utility cart, and then what I did was I brought it outside and I spray painted it a gold, and that already transformed this utility cart. And then You want to make sure that you get all the little nooks and crannies. I only needed about one coat, but I did kind of go over a few areas that weren't sprayed all the way. And then you're gonna let it dry. As this was sitting drying, I realized I didn't want the middle ledge. So what I did is I decided to take off that middle shelf because I wanted to have wine bottles at the bottom, and this was gonna end up too short of a space. At first I thought I was gonna lay them flat, but then I decided after I was looking at it when it was gold that I wanted them to stand up straight. So after you do that, we are going to grab some placemats that I found, and these were kind of like a woven placemat, and I folded it in half, and then we're going to glue that onto each shelf so that we can disguise the mesh metal that was with the original cart, and then just grab some hot glue and secure that. And then this was a little long, so I cut that off at the end, and we're going to keep that little piece that we cut because we're going to use that for measurements for some other pieces. So there's that little piece again, and then we're going to take the other half of the mat and then cut that off, and that makes it a perfect length for that shelf, and then glue that in. And then I found these wooden rings, and I thought, hey, that would look really cute to embellish it and kind of transform this so it disguises the fact of what this actually is. So I hot glued those, and I use Gorilla Glue, hot glue, and it never fails me. It holds really strongly. And then I had some more of these little wooden rings that were almost twice the size, and glued those down along the bottom. And then after you glue them down, you're gonna go around and kind of add some more glue in some areas from behind that you feel maybe you missed, and then it already looks great. Now we're going to grab some white paint, and we are going to put that on the handles at the top on both sides. And then I took some more of the placemat and I made it about 1.5 inches wide and put that on the middle little metal bar to camouflage that. Then there's that little piece that I cut off the end, and I use that again as a perfect way to measure the width of the mat to put on the side. Then I put some glue across the top so it kind of butts right up to the other piece, and then just kind of smooth that down, and it almost looks seamless right there. Then you're going to take your hot glue and you're going to glue the rest of that piece down the side, and there's only a couple little areas you can attach it to. They're kind of like a thin crossbar. So you're just going to gently put that across, and then I didn't show you, but afterwards I went from behind and did a little extra. Next, I love this Anthropology mug right there, and so I decided that's the way I'm going to paint the little white handles. So I grabbed some little light kind of minty color and put those little splotches there, then put some little dots of green, some big ones and some little ones, and then put that on both sides. And this is kind of where you just have some fun. Then I grabbed a flat paintbrush and painted some gold. And then I decided I wanted this to kind of blend in to the bottom. So I took the bottom piece and I just mimicked the same way that I painted the handles. And then that's it. This turned out so beautiful. I cannot believe that this was literally that black, ugly utility cart. No offense to the utility cart, but this looks so good. And I could also see this not just for wine, but it could be a coffee cart. And there's so many possibilities of the way you could paint this. I could see it all in like one color tone, like blue and white. I can see it very neutrals. It's just whatever your style is. And I hope I inspired you to try this DIY for yourself.